What's up with that? All right, good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday, October 24th. As usual, doing analysis for US 30, gold, and EU. So looking at this right here, so starting off with our daily bias, US 30 daily bias is bearish. Gold daily bias is bullish. EU daily bias is bullish. The US dollar daily bias is bearish. So coming down to the 4 hour and 1 hour time frames. So looking at it here, let's see. So nothing on the hourly time frame, nothing on the 4 hour time frame. For gold, nothing, no double S. Yeah, my bad. I don't know if I shared my screens, but let me share this. My bad. Okay. So US 30, nothing on the 1 hour, 4 hour. Gold, nothing on the 1 hour, 4 hour. EU 264. This is a double SAR. Right here. But nothing that's lining up. It might have a break and continuation, but that would have to need to wait for some hours. For gold, I'm sorry, for US 30, nothing on the 30 minutes. Wait, give me a second. What is this? 250 to 220, 250. So this is a double SAR also, but this is on the 30-minute time frame. 250.4, the lowest is, yeah, so this fits in the threshold of, so possible test and rejection, but that hasn't happened yet for US 30. That's on the 30 minutes. On the 15 minutes, nothing for US 30 on the 15 minutes. So for US 30 on the 30 minutes, the only entry we can get would have to be at 10:30 a.m. This is personally but I'm trying to multitask on a lot of things. Um, okay. So for US 30, the only trade would line up at 10:30, if anything. For gold, bullish bias, nothing on the 15 minutes, nothing on the 30-minute time frame. So yeah, nothing on the 15 minute, nothing on the 30-minute time frame. So 15 minutes. So I would want to see gold come back down and test this 15-minute double SAR, and then I would look for a buy around this zone, 1956 area. EU, EU is possibly giving a possible either test and rejection or break and continuation on this 15-minute time frame. On the 30-minute time frame, nothing really for EU, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, nothing for EU based off of their prices. No, I think my computer is just lagging. Yeah. This zone. So we have a small zone here. We have a double SAR on the 30. Yeah, nothing there. All right, so the only trades would be US 30, but we would have to wait for a whole hour for anything to validate. So I won't really check So even here on the 30-minute, I would have wanted to see US because we need this zone to be tapped exactly. I think I may need to restart my computer. We need this zone to be tapped. So as much as we're having this test right here, we need this zone to be tapped. But that's fine as well because I know here this is also a zone for US 30. Now, not sure whether it's a 15-minute or a 30-minute zone. It might be a 30-minute. It might be a 15-minute zone. So yeah, we might get also a test and rejection here on the 15-minute time frame. So this zone right here, this is so we have 3 minutes for this to close. So if this closes, that would be the test candle off of a 15-minute zone. And then we would need the next 15-minute candle to also close below that zone. Now going back, so here, there's something I didn't go over. So everything, we've gone over the daily bias, US 30 bearish, gold bullish, EU bullish, the US dollar bearish. Now, here, what I'll go to do, and which is what I did yesterday, I will turn on the momentum indicator right there. So if I'm bullish on the daily time frame, if that's my bias, my momentum indicator will have sales showing. If I'm bearish on the momentum, if I'm bearish on the SAR, my daily bias is bearish, my momentum indicator should show buys only. So here, my daily bias for US 30 is bearish because on the close of the daily candle on Friday, the daily candle closed below a daily SAR. So here, I don't care if a momentum indicator gives me a buy signal because remember, as soon as you change your daily bias, it doesn't mean that price will automatically go in that direction from the get-go. The key thing to understand is that if you change your bias, if your bias changes on a Friday, the momentum indicator that would give you an opposite signal that you should be worried about should show up after 7 days. So here I count my days: 1, Friday, 2, 3. So even though this momentum closes with a buy, I don't care about it because the buy is closing in 2 days or under 7 days from my daily bias change. So I don't care about this buy that's forming on US 30 because I understand if my bias changes, I do expect some sort of retracement to pick up liquidity. So like right here, what I would be personally looking for, if US 30 taps 33,315, I'll also be looking for sales there because it will be retesting the daily SAR that changed my daily bias. So I don't care about the momentum indicator right now for US 30. For me to care about the momentum indicator for US 30, mentally I know to check beginning of next week because my 7 days will end this coming Friday. So I don't care about opposite signals for US 30 right now. Okay, moving on to what is it? Moving on to gold. Moving on to gold, we do our math. So daily bias change Wednesday, October 11th. What's 7 days from there? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right now, as of right now, which is what I did yesterday, if I turn on the momentum indicator, if I turned it on a day after this 7-day threshold and I got a sell, it doesn't mean that I'll change my daily bias from bullish to bearish. But in some of my automated trading instruments, like the one where I use my EA, and I can't really control drawdown as how do I put it? I can't really control. Well, I can control the number of trades and etc. But I don't really want to have too many open trades. If I turn on the momentum indicator and it's already past 7 days and I get a sell, I turn off all the buys that were running on my automated accounts. So yesterday, so right here, if we turn on the momentum indicator, yesterday we had a sell signal. So what I did yesterday on the close of that daily candle when that sell, and this is what I would expect you guys to be doing when we do release the year. If you choose not to do it, that's fine. But this is personally what I've found to work. So here, when this sell was formed, I went ahead and closed all open buys. But as with my manual trading, what this cell gives to me, it just tells me maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, we'll be forming a sell SAR on the daily time frame, which also means maybe in the next 1 or 2 days, your daily bias may need to change or may be changing from bullish to bearish. So also as a manual trader, it kind of gives me a warning. So here, and I'll go over like the trade I took yesterday with this one. But on gold, we've already gotten a warning that the trend might be changing to bearish, or the daily bars might be changing to bearish in the next day or two. So I'll go ahead and turn that off. Let's see. So this US 30 trade, right? So here, if I go ahead and mark this zone up, this is a test and rejection, but I don't want this candle to close the way it's closing too far away. So for this one, test and rejection, 1 second. 1 second. Trying to get the this to be too far down. Can't see. Trying to hide my taskbar because it doesn't. Oh, give me 1 second. I think this thing might be going down. Anyway, I'm just trying to find. I'll just manually change this. So this would be test and rejection because I can't find this one. Bravo cell, SAI zone. So here, this is a possible test and rejection. So what I'll do here is this, do this for, this is, okay, US 30. All right, so if this candle closes here, I'm not taking that trade. I would wait for the trade on the 1 minute candle. So if this current 15-minute candle closes anywhere other than where I've put my markup, my short position, I will move down to the 1 minute and 5 minute. So if the trade closes here, yes, it's a valid test and rejection because again, it's only two candle formations. If you're willing to take the risk, well and good. Again, I always tell you guys, you don't have to trade exactly like I do, but personally, I choose to just be safer. So for me, that's the trade I will take that's going to be up there. Also, I do see another double SAR on the 15-minute time frame. So I'll go ahead and mark this up.
I don't know if it's just me advising, but you sound a little muffled today.
Yeah, I think I need to restart my computer or something. Because also my computer is freezing. Is this better? Maybe if I put the mic closer, it would be better. Still muffled? Maybe?
Nah, I just turned you up. It's
Okay. All right. I'll restart my computer after this. But, yeah, because I can't. Let me give me 1 second. Let me minimize everything first. I'll still sharing this first. Just 1 second. Let me stop sharing. Okay, that's. Let me try this again. Okay, so I'm able to do share the screen again. All right, so maybe this improves the everything. Anyway, I need to change this to red. All right, so this 15-minute candle closes in about 10 minutes. I'm also checking this thing. Yeah, so I'd want this current 15-minute candle to close here, and then that's when I'll take the trade. So again, nothing for gold. I would want gold to come back down here, and nothing for EU. So we have about 9 minutes before this trade validates. So I'll go back to that daily. So if we go back to the daily here, EU. So EU, let's count how many days it was since the daily bias changed to bullish. So here, change to bullish Tuesday, October 10th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I'm sorry. What is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I had a sell after Wednesday, October 18th, that would serve as a warning that, hey, maybe I need to calm down on the buys. So here we got to sell exactly 7 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it doesn't have to be 7 days is what works for me. For you, it can be 10 days, it can be 5 days. But for me, 7 days a week is what works for me. So you can see on that particular day, we had a sell. Now, it doesn't tell you to start looking for sells. It just tells you to maybe chill on doing buys for now until you get another opposing buy signal. So here, I know I've only turned on one. So here we turn on a buy, you'll see probably the next day you got that buy signal. So the idea here is that if you count 7 days, here you'd pause looking for buys in this example of EU. So when would you continue looking for buys? It's either if you wait for the same momentum indicator to give you another buy signal. So you can see here on Wednesday, October 18th, the momentum signal warned us that sell momentum was stepping in. But you see what happened the next day. The next day, the momentum signal also gave us an indication to continue looking for buys. So this is where it can be, even for me, I get confused sometimes, especially because on my charts, I don't do both buys and sells. I either do buy or sell only. But this is why you, especially if you guys got the TradingView Premium just the other day that allows you to even have like 10 charts or whatever, you should, if you see my tabs up there, I have like a couple of charts. This is just to allow me not to miss something. So here, if I go back to that EU, on Wednesday, 18th October, I would have calmed down looking for the buys because I would have seen the sell momentum. So I would have waited until the same momentum indicator gave me another buy or gave me a buy signal. So which is what happened on that particular day. So same thing with gold. So let's go over gold real quick before that US30 trade either validates or not. So, and also on the daily time frame, I don't filter signals based off of moving average. I used to, but if you think about it, a daily candle, before a daily candle closes above or below a moving average, that's right, price would have to have moved a lot on lower time frames. So I do not use the moving average filter here. So signal filter type here is no filter, but on every other time frame below the daily time frame, I do a moving average filter. It's not a must, but for me, it just filters out helps filter out the invalid signals. You still have some invalid signals, but reduces noise like significantly. So here on gold, what would I be looking for? So if I turn on both buys and sells, so here yesterday, gold warned me that, hey, sell momentum is coming into the market. And yes, you can see gold is now selling. But my daily bias is still, let me make sure, yeah, so I like what US30 is doing. So we have 6 more minutes. So on the daily, my daily bias is still bullish on gold, but the momentum indicator told me, hey, we have sell momentum coming into the market, so chill on the buys. Now, for me, manual trading, I'm still looking for buys, but like with the EA, I told you guys I turned off the buys. But question is, when would I then resume looking for buys or setting buys only with my EA? I would wait for a daily candle to give me a buy signal. Daily momentum, so momentum indicator to give me a buy signal because it now tells me momentum is now switching back to daily buyers. So that's how you should be using the momentum indicator. Momentum indicator should act as a warning on the daily time frame, and then you can look for entries also on the 4-hour and 1-hour. Now I know I'd said I don't look for trade entries on the daily time frame using the momentum indicator, but remember that when I tell you guys something, I always go back and backtest and try to prove to myself why shouldn't I look for trade entries on the daily? Why shouldn't I look for the trade entries on the 4-hour and 1-hour? If you wait for me to tell you this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, when I do find something that you can do and then I was telling you you couldn't do it, you automatically get confused. So which is why when I give you guys these tools, and given the ability they have, it's ideally like for a throwaway price. But the idea here is that you should go back and look and visually backtest, which is what we're about to do right now on gold after this US30 trade either validates or doesn't validate. The trade I took on gold this morning that gave me like, what was it, 3% or something, this trade right here, it was off of just visually backtesting for like 10 minutes. I just looked at the daily time frame for the whole year and looked at, okay, what rules should I follow? So somebody can say, oh, but you said you don't take the trades on the daily. Yes, with the information I had at that point, I wouldn't have been taking, but after back testing, I saw there is a use case where you can take those trades on the daily. But if you do not understand the basic SAR strategy, if you do not understand the basic momentum strategy, if you do not understand the basic high-low, the trend, the crosses indicator, when I start moving, because for me, you guys know I'm always rotating. Something that works right now may not work the next time. But even though you find something that works during throughout the whole year, remember every candle is an opportunity to make money. So you can maximize your gains by employing different strategies. So if you don't understand the basics of an idea or of a strategy I give to you, do not try and understand when I level up and tell you guys, okay, now this is how you can use the daily. Because if you don't understand uh, the basic strategy, break and continuation of an SAR, test and rejection of an SAR, when I start showing you what I'm about to show you guys right now on the daily time frame, you will not understand and you just confuse yourself and possibly blow accounts or be in drawdown, which is not what I would like you guys to do. So let's see what happens with US30 here. So what is US30 doing here? If this candle closes above this SAR zones, this setup will be invalidated because yes, the test candle closed below, but the rejection candle, if it closes above, then there will be no test and rejection entry because remember, all my entries are two candle formations. So gold is still hanging around there, nothing, I was hoping to catch a buy on gold. I was hoping maybe during New York session price would have retraced to that 15-minute zone, but maybe that's going to happen later on. So if you guys remember, like yesterday I was sending a lot of trade setups in the trade ideas channel, right? And a bunch of them kept getting invalidated. But eventually, right? Eventually there's a trade. I know one even ended up at break even, but eventually personally I was able to take one of the trades. So if they keep getting invalidated, that's fine. That's why we have those rules that we are waiting. Because yesterday, if you guys remember, I was trying to catch sells on US30 somewhere at this bottoms right here. But because I had my trade rules, the trade setups kept getting validated and I was able to catch the sell from the top here, somewhere this candle from the middle of this candle. So even if US30 keeps going up, look at where it's going. It's going to that 30-minute zone, 30-minute double SAR zone, where price retraced heavily yesterday. So if this trade gets invalidated, don't feel bad. That's fine. You just keep waiting for the next setup to happen. But right now, the only trade we are possibly going to get is this US30 trade either here on if in the next 1 minute US30 for some reason pumps back down, that would be the valid trade. But if it closes above here, that's fine as well, because remember, this is a 30-minute double SAR. I think this also is a 30-minute double SAR that I'd marked. This might be also a 30-minute double SAR. So if US30 wants to keep pumping, well and good, let it keep pumping. There are a lot of selling zones where US30 is headed. So I don't think US30 will close below this zone in the next 30 minutes. So at this point, unless I know we had news at 9:45, but I don't see anything that's gonna bring you. And this is a 15-minute candle. So at this point, that trade setup is invalidated. Let me make sure before I move on to gold. Yeah, so that setup again is invalidated, so we just have to wait. So right now, nothing to look at, nothing for gold, nothing for US30, nothing for EU as well. So EU, I like this 15-minute rejection of EU. I like that week from the bottom. So here what we'll do, this is a possible test and rejection for EU right there. I like this wick, this push from the downside. But again, for this EU setup, this would have to wait for the next 15-minute candle. So test and rejection buy. All right. So in the meantime, let's go back to gold. All right. So looking at gold here, on the daily. So this is what I've done on the daily time frame. This is just a new chart, just only for the daily entry with the momentum strategy. Now, if let me even do a new chart. Let me do a new chart real quick. Yeah, because I probably better to backtest using one window. So here, I'll go ahead and apply the momentum indicator. And I want to backtest gold right here in the daily. So I want to backtest the daily entry using the momentum indicator. So here, first of all, I want to just do the buys. So backtest the buys for now because I don't want both red and green lines on my chart. And then I do that. And then I change this time frame to the daily. Okay. And then you don't need the moving average on the daily. So I'll go ahead and turn that off. Turn off the moving average filter so that it's no filter right there. All right. So here, my work is just to backtest, so randomly. So let's start, I don't know, let's start here. So here, but you can also use the moving average filter if you want to take off a bunch of these buys, but visually, this is what I'm going to do, just backtesting visually. So here, what are the trade requirements for the momentum strategy? And I know I'd called it rejection strategy, but we'll rename that to momentum strategy. Momentum save as strategy. Give me 1 second. Let me stop something I'm running here. All right. I'm sorry, I normally run too many things. Okay, so here, that's a momentum strategy. So use together with SARs on the daily time frame, together with the SARs on the daily time frame. If your daily SAR bias is biased, set the rejection indicator to sells and vice versa. So here, for this backtesting, we want to treat it like how we treat it on the 4 hour and 1 hour. Because remember, setting it opposite of your daily bias on the daily time frame, that's just to act as a warning. But here, we are not trying to use the momentum strategy to act as a warning. We're trying to use it to take trades. So same logic we do on the 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. If you're, if it gives you a buy, right, you're looking for a buy. If it gives you a sell, you're looking for a sell. But in number 3, and I guess I'll refine this to something else. So forget the first one. So I don't want anything that talks about a daily bias. Let me write a new one because this is mixed with make sure the signal on the make sure the candle. So previous candle or candles, that's relative. For me, I prefer the immediate previous candle, but it can be the previous. So I'll say previous 1, 2, 3 candles rejected of an LCR and the exposure so this one you don't on the daily time frame. Okay, so let me delete that. So let's use this one right here. All right. So again, this is just visually backtesting. So this is how to take trades using the momentum strategy. So number one, make sure the signal candle is in the lowest candle of a trend of a retracement. Make sure the previous 1 to 3 candles rejected off an SAR. This can be a single SAR in the direction of the signal. On the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, you don't need to consider whether the signal candle is above or below the moving average, but on time frames lower than the daily time frame, it's advisable that you take buys if the signal candle is above the moving average and sells if the signal candle is below the moving average. You can also use the moving average filter to help you filter that out. So here, let's just visually start backtesting from here. So this buy, so in this is right here, this buy right here. So is this buy valid or invalid? So this buy showed up. It's not the lowest candle of this retracement or trend. The previous candle, which falls in between the previous 1 to 3 candles rejected off of an SAR. So personally, would I have taken that trade? Was it a valid trade? Yes, it's a valid trade right there. Now the question comes in, this is a daily time frame. So what do you want your stop loss to be? Stop loss, I recommend having a stop loss that's below the previous high low. And again, I know that's also a requirement. So let's do that also. So let me add this in here. Stop loss. For this EU thing, let me see what I want to do with EU. I know we have 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm not going to take this EU trade. The reason I'm not going to take it is structure. So EU, we have this, I would rather wait for EU at 1.05760 because that's where structure will be completed. So right now, unless you're going for like 10 pips TP, I'm not going to take this trade. Doesn't also look like it's going to validate because it looks like it's trying to close below this zone. But yeah, I'm not going to take that trade either way, even though it validates. So I'll just take it off. Nothing for gold, nothing for US30. So coming back here, stop loss should be above or below the previous high low. So here, if you're taking this trade, if you're taking this trade, it's a trade I would have taken. So I'll go ahead and replay this in order to remove all these candles. So this is on the daily time frame. So we are putting those are the rules right there. So to me, this would have been a valid trade that I would have personally taken. So with the stop loss below that, looks like stop loss would have been like about 100 pips. So for this one, it might be tricky to go for a 1:2, but um, you can try it because it's on the daily time frame, or you can do like a 1:1 risk to reward. So for this particular one, I think this trade you would have survived. No, this trade would have ended up in stop loss, right? So you can see ended up in stop loss. I don't know whether it started off. Yeah, I think it started off as a loss and then price came back up. But is it a trade that was valid? Is it a trade that I would have taken? Yes, because it satisfied the signal candle wasn't the lowest candle of the retracement of the trend. The previous 1, 2, 3, and keep in mind, this is separate. You don't need a daily bias for this. So remember where I said you can trade the SAR strategy by itself or the momentum strategy by itself. So this is the momentum strategy by itself. I don't care about the daily bias here. I just care about meeting these 4 requirements. So this is one strategy that I see myself, I can be taking sells and my bias with my bias being bullish. So for example, that gold sell that I took yesterday, even though my overall bias was bullish. So here, this is the momentum strategy by itself. This is in no way tied to the SAR strategy. The only SAR requirement is a single SAR. So that's not even the SAR strategy because the SAR strategy requires at least a double SAR. So this one is just using a single SAR. So here, it satisfied the candle not being the lowest or the highest. It satisfied the previous 2 candles or the previous 1 to 3 candles that rejected off of an SAR. So it had rejected off of actually 2 SARs. So that's fine. On the daily time frame, you don't need to consider whether the signal is above or below the moving average. So here, if we turn on the moving average, you'll see here, for example, maybe yeah, in this instance, the candle was still below the moving average. So if we put the moving average filter, it should turn that off. Yeah. So also keep in mind the moving average filter, and I got clarification from my programmer. The moving average filter considers, because the momentum strategy or signals are based off of 2 candles. For a buy, if you want to filter based off of moving average, if the previous candle, the one that doesn't have the signal, but it's related to both candles, if the previous candle, for example, started off below the moving average, and the candle that gave you the buy started off above the moving average, what that means is that if you apply the moving average filter, that buy or that sell, in that case, it was a buy, that buy will just go away. So how the moving average filter works, both candles have to be within the moving average. So if it's for a buy, both candle opens have to be within the above the moving average. If it's for a sell, both candles have to be under the moving average. So if one is outside of the moving average, then if you apply the moving average filter, that's where you see some of those entries or signals disappearing. So anyway, let's go back in here. So this was a valid trade that I would have taken, but this one, of course, you can see it would have ended up in loss. So we wait for the next one. The next one, this buy, is it a valid buy signal? No, it's not. This buy candle is the lowest candle of this move down. So this whole retracement to the downside, this buy signal is coming off of the lowest candle of the move. So that's not a valid signal. Again, you can see, right? You could have gotten stopped out if you fell for that. So you keep waiting. And again, for this one, I'm just testing out the buy, but it's the same ideology if I was doing the sells. So this buy right here, is this buy valid? It looks valid, but what requirement doesn't it satisfy? The previous candles have not rejected off of any SAR. So is this signal valid or invalid? It's invalid. It does not meet the second rule. So you keep waiting for the next one. Okay, and you can see that one as well, could have gotten manipulated or stopped out. This buy, is it valid or invalid? Invalid. A, it doesn't reject off of any SARs. Also, it's the lowest candle of the trend. You keep waiting. This buy valid or invalid? Invalid because, and I'll turn off that moving average. Invalid because there's no rejection off of an SAR level. And also, it was the lowest candle. Now, this is where also, what do you consider a trend? Will you consider this previous trend or will you consider this one? Personally, I'll consider the trend in the last few days. So I wouldn't really consider this one. I guess you can, maybe, I don't know. That's where you have to decide for yourself. But either way, it breaks the rule of the previous candles not rejecting off of any buy SAR or green SAR. You keep waiting and waiting. This buy right here, is it valid or invalid? Again, automatically, I think for me, what's easier to filter out whether the candle is valid or invalid is to look for rejection off of an SAR from the preceding candles. I think that helps me out a lot because sometimes I find myself wanting to take a trade down here or, for example, here, but then I find that there was no rejection off of an SAR. So again here, and this is on the daily time frame, right? So you won't get trades every day, but just something to consider. This buy right here, would I have taken it? Yes. Not the lowest candle of any retracement I can see. The previous candle was rejecting off of an SAR. So I go ahead and enter that buy on the daily candle. Right there, stop loss below the previous low. So stop loss right there. So this would have been like a 200 pip stop loss. So if I want a 1:2, so that would be a $40 or 400 pip TP. And let's see how this one would have gone, right? Stopped out. So that's why also you can do, like for me, I wouldn't do like a 200 pip stop loss. So maybe, I think for yesterday, I did a 100 pip stop loss and 200 pip TP. So a $10 stop loss on gold and a $20 TP. So for this one, I think maybe put, because the stop loss is below the previous high low, maybe you can do stop loss below the previous or that daily candle's low. Or it's no, because at this point you couldn't have known. So yeah, this one you had no option but to use like a 200 pip stop loss. But anyway, even with that, you could have gotten stopped out. So same thing, this buy is valid or not valid, invalid. So, just the same thing right there. So this buy is valid, rejecting previous candle, rejecting off of an SAR. This is not the lowest candle of a trend. Let's see for this trade right here. With this stop loss again, would need like a 200 pip stop loss. So I think for me, this one I would have done like 150 pip stop loss, so $15 stop loss, 30, 300 pip TP. Again, this is on the daily time frame. Keep going. So this one, you would have achieved a 1:2, definitely for this one. 1:2, right? No, I'm sorry, 1:1 right here. So at this point, you could have been at break even. So I think for this strategy, maybe a 1:1 risk to reward. Because yeah, even with backtesting earlier this morning, I had trouble achieving full TP with like a 1:2 risk to reward. So it's either you find like a static TP or a static stop loss, maybe like you just tell yourself 100 pips or 50 pips. But if you're trying to achieve a 1:2, sometimes you might either get stopped out or stopped out in stop loss or stopped out at break even. So this one would have ended up at break even. So keep moving around. So this buy invalid, invalid, invalid. There's no rejection off of an SAR down there. Same, invalid, no rejection off of an SAR, lowest candle, no SAR. So this is how I backtest visually. So here, no SAR rejection. So if you look for the SARs, it will ideally tell you whether you want, what is it? Whether something is valid or not valid. But anyway, so that's how you do it, whether you're looking for buys or for sells. You guys might have to decide what risk to reward works for you. 1:2 might be tricky because some of the stop losses, and keep in mind, right, these are daily candles. So some of the stop losses that, yeah, so this EU trade, so this is valid if somebody has, if any of you have any confluences for a buy, this is a valid EU buy based off of a test and rejection. But personally, I'm not taking EU because I can see structure that looks like it's going to be completed. So it looks like EU is about to complete structure right here, coming down to 1.057. So yes,
Recording in
this
progress.
is a valid test and rejection entry on EU for the 15-minute time frame. If you're taking this trade, use a 25 pip stop loss, 50 pip TP, but again, I am not taking it. The reason is structure. You know, moving to the left, you can see, looks like EU wants to come down to 1.057. So just because of that, I will not be taking that trade, but it is a valid trade for anyone who has any confluences for EU. So nothing setting up for US 30 or gold. So here, so going back to the trade I took yesterday, so same analysis that I just did for you guys on the buy, on the back testing for the buys, for the sell, same analysis. Here for this sell, gold on the previous daily candle rejected off of an SAR. Okay, the candle that gave the sell signal, was it the lowest candle of this trend to the upside? No. Okay, had the previous 1 to 3 candles rejected off of an SAR? Yes. Okay, so this for this one yesterday or this morning, when I did the back testing, I saw that I could get away with that 100 pip stop loss, and I could do like a 200 pip TP. So that's the trade that I took this, this morning. So that's how you can use the momentum strategy to enter trades on the daily time frame. So this is also the same idea, whether it's on the 4 hour, whether it's on the 1 hour. Make sure you follow those.
Not to cut you off. When you was just back testing, did you take in consideration to go 7 days before trying it? No, right?
Yeah, but no, I didn't. But you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that you'd have got better results that way.
Yep. Yeah. So you can do that. Yeah, that one as well for what Levy said. So after you get a buy, but do you mean like 7 days after the signal comes in?
Yeah, like because I think the reason why your sell worked out really good today because it was exhaustion of buys.
Mm.
Because it was I think 9 days or something like that of buys.
Oh, so like what you're saying is do the same thing with my daily bias, and then after the 7 days, I look for. So okay, I see what you mean. So on the daily time frame, enter the momentum entry 7 days at least 7 days after my change in my SAR bias, changing daily SAR bias.
Right.
That actually makes sense.
Because I think he was just back testing like
Randomly.
everything randomly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. That actually makes sense. What you said. Yep. Yeah. What Levy just said actually makes sense. So, and that's the importance, right? If you follow everything I do, I'm not 100% right. Yeah, but what Levy just said, instead of doing this, what I just did from Kindle Come, right? Just do what we've been doing with the daily bias. Do what we've been doing with the daily bias. So I think, according like with what Levy has said, what I would be doing going forward is for the SAR strategy. I'm sorry, for the momentum strategy entry on the daily time frame. I wait just as I do, right? 7 days after my change in the daily bias, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if that warning pops up on the momentum indicator on the daily time frame, 7 days after I change my daily bias, then I can look for a trade down. That's actually pretty nice. Thanks, Levy. So yeah, I can see the value of that because this one you're just taking like everything. So let me change that real quick. So on the daily time frame, you don't need to consider to the let's see. So here I'll put number 4, momentum strategy. Entry and one should let me put it this way. So the daily time frame. momentum strategy entries. Uh, for momentum strategy entries on the entries. For the daily time frame, one should look for momentum strategy entries at least 7 days, at least 7 days after mm, after the daily bias. That's good, Libby? So for the daily time frame, one should look for momentum strategy entries at least 7 days after the daily bias shift. Yeah, that actually makes sense. And then for the 4 hour and 1 hour time frames, you would do the yeah. So 4 hour and 1 hour entries do not change because you would look for the same. I'm trying to think what chart was that. Yeah, so for the 1 hour and 4 hour, you can look for entries the same way. You don't need to wait for those 7 days. So for example, here for gold on the momentum, this right here would be a valid momentum buy on gold if this hourly candle closes. The last candles, 1 to 3 candles, the third candle. I prefer it being the recent candle, but I can see use cases for this. And keep in mind, I've noticed that most of this momentum entries on the 4 hour and 1 hour timeframes between come somewhere during Asia session. So the good ones I've seen them coming in somewhere around the Asia session. But anyway, for this momentum one, let's see what stop loss this would be. Not bad, a 30 pip stop loss. So I'd rather do a 50 pip stop loss. Personally, I wouldn't take this trade. I consider this overextension as well. I would have wanted this candles to be next to this SAR. So I would have wanted like if these candles were here. So I would treat this similar to how we treat overextension in the SARs and wait for arbitration. But this, if this closes, if this hourly candle closes with this buy momentum signal, that's a valid momentum buy, but I would have wanted these candles to be somewhere here. So for me, even for that entry, I won't be taking that one. Let's see for US 30. This should be buy because I'm trading. No. I'm looking for sales. My bad. Yeah. Yes, so nothing for US 30. For EU, I'm looking for buys. So, okay, so see like this one for EU, this hourly might give a buy, but it's right, it's flashing, but it's also going off. So this might be one that but I would need to see how big of a stop loss. I normally do 25 pip stop loss because I need my stop loss to be below this structure because I do see EU coming back down to 1.057. Yeah, so this one as well. This is the hourly time frame. We'll see if it closes with it or without it. But anyway, unfortunately for today, there weren't any trades. So watch this zone for US 30 because remember, this zone we marked up here, this is a 30-minute zone. This is the zone that I caught the sell in the mid of this candle. But right now, unless it forms a break and continuation, see where this 30-minute candle has closed. I guess it's 10:30, right? Yeah. See where this 30-minute candle has closed. So this one, since the price closed above, and you can see we do have sellers there. So this is the point where US 30 did stop hunting yesterday and melted to the downside. So for this 30-minute zone, what's lining up here? So what would be lining up here would be a break and continuation. So if this 30-minute candle closes below this double SAR zone here, that would be the break candle. And then you'd need the next 30-minute candle to also close below there. And then that would be your break and continuation entry. So, but for that trade to either validate or invalidate, you'd have to wait for this break candle to see if A, it closes below this zone. If it closes below this zone, then you'd wait for the next 30-minute candle. So it's either the whole setup will be invalidated at 11 p.m. or the setup will be invalidated at 11:30, no, 11 a.m. Eastern time, or will be invalidated at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So nothing for US 30 for now as well. So just be patient. As you keep scrolling up, there's a bunch of zones up here. I think this is a 15-minute zone, if I'm not wrong. The top zone is up here. Again, this might be a 15-minute zone. So if US 30 wants to keep pumping, for me, that's fine as well. I do have sell zones all the way up here. So I just need for my trade setups to be validated, and that way, um, that's the only time I'll enter any trades. But anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions. No trades for today. Again, for me, I took that gold sell from the top this morning. I'm up like, what is this? Actually risked, yeah, no, I'm up. I risked like 1.5 for that trade. So I'm up like 3% for the day. So just be patient, whether it's US 30 or gold or EU. EU, I do see this. To me, this is a red. Like I do see EU coming to 1.057. I like the buy on EU where it is right now, but this structure right here, I've seen this set up, and we've seen it on the live session countless times. So I would rather be looking for buys on EU around 1.057, 1.058. To me, that's the safer place because you can see there's something pulling EU back down, even though we do have some rejections here. But let me know if you guys have any questions. If not, that should be it for the day. If the US 30 trade validates, I'll send it in the group. Gold looks like it's going to consolidate for the rest of the day. So I don't think we have anything further. All right. Any last questions? So for that new way for the daily taking trades on the daily, using the momentum indicator, don't worry too much about it. First, understand the momentum strategy. Like either start by testing it out on the 1 hour and 4 hour, before going on the daily. The daily, even to be honest with you, other than when Levy pointed that out, like waiting for 7 days, it does get confusing. Even when I was back testing it, it does get confusing. But I would say if you're using it, start looking for the SAR rejection first. You see those rules I wrote for you guys here. So these are the 4 things that, or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so the first three are the major rules that every momentum signal should abide by. But for me, I find it easier. How I find it easier to visually filter out the invalid signals, I use number 2 as my starting point. So you can use number 1 as your starting point, but I found personally, and this is just personal, I'm not saying this is how you should do it, but personally, I find myself overlooking the SAR rejection sometimes or visually backtesting. But if I look, if the previous 1 or 3 candles, 1 to 3 candles are rejected off of an SAR, that helps me automatically filter out the invalid signals. If for you, it's easier to check whether the candle is the lowest in a trend or retracement, if that's easier for you to visually filter out the invalid signals, then use that. But sometimes I've found, I think we just saw that way when we were backtesting. Sometimes it's relative to see what a retracement is, because some people can consider previous 20 candles to be a retracement. Personally, I consider like that candle that's giving me the buy or sell signal. Is it part of a retracement? Is it part of a trend? So both ways, there's no way that's more right than the other, but it's just a matter of relativity. But if you look at requirement number 2, make sure that the previous 1 to 3 candles rejected off of an SAR, there's no ifs, but there's no, okay, you can look at it this way, you can look at it the other way. No, it tells you it has to be the previous 1 or 3 candles. So I feel like that might be an easier way to filter out the invalid signals versus the valid signals. So just do a test with it, and once you do testing with it, if you see the trade, go ahead and take it. That's the only way you develop or start learning as you go. If you're not too sure about it, you can always do a 0.01 lot size, and then you learn from it, and then you adjust going forward, because that's literally what I do. Now, I did find that the entries are not as good for not. Oh, let me not say not as good when it comes to US 30. So, for example, here for US 30, if we change this chart to be US 30, I did find that US 30 does not give too good of daily entries, if I put it that way. So of course, all of this, and this is not assuming Levy's method of filtering out just for the 7 days, but just even without considering that, US 30 did not give too many entries. So for example, all this here, so this is what I'm talking about, right? If you're considering rejection of an SAR, automatically here there's no SAR. So you consider all of these buys invalid. Again, this is not related to the SAR strategy. This is a momentum strategy by itself. But here, for example, this one, I consider this invalid as well, lowest. This would have been a valid buy right here, invalid buy. All of this right here are invalid. There's no rejection. Well, this is a valid because the previous candle rejected off of an SAR. But I think gold gave more entries when I was back testing it. But just put it on the daily. Don't try to do both buys and sells at the same time. It will confuse the hell out of you. Here, if I turn on both buy and sell signals, and then I turn on the sell SARs, right? How can you'll just be confused. So this is why I recommend do buys first and then do sells after, or do sells first and do buys after. But it's the same logic, but you're just flipping the color of your SARs, or you're just flipping the signals. So you don't even have to backtest both buys and sells, just backtest one. If you understand the trade entries for the buys, it's going to be the same entries for the sells. Since the logic is the same, you're just looking for sells versus buys. So just see what works for you. Test it. If you trade Bitcoin, the strategy does not change. If you trade Apple, Tesla, strategy does not change. The strategies can be used on any instrument. So yeah, let me know if there are any last questions. But right now, no trades for today. Watch for US 30 for this zone. I said possible break and continuation. Gold looks like we're ranging for the day, nothing. And this is why I didn't want to take that EU sell, right? Because sometimes, right, you just look at structure and look at where it's more likely. So if EU breaks 1.057, where's the next area EU can go to? You can see we have 1.053. So like if you're using a small stop loss like me, like 25 pips, if I took that trade, I would be halfway through drawdown. So that's why sometimes it's important to look at the structure. So that's also going to tell you whether a trade has a red flag or not. So yes, that EU trade was valid, but I told you guys, I do not feel comfortable because I do see structure being completed here. But yeah, so hopefully we get this US 30 trade. Even when we do get it, I can send it to the group if it's within the trading hours. If not, we'll just have to wait for another trade setup tomorrow or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go. Like I could tell y'all what the strategy is for ICC.
Yeah, ICC. Yeah.
Can't really go over, like I'm not prepared right now to go over it on my screen and all that stuff. But pretty much it's his entries are at the highs and the lows. So the way he trades is when price makes a new high, he'll mark that point off. And when price breaks that high, that's his, like, pretty much wherever it goes, he knows now, okay, price broke this high and the highest of it goes right here. You understand? So when price gets back down to where it broke that last high, he will enter the trade there based on how price action is acting at that level. And he'll target that last high because he know price is going to go there. So his strategy basically is saying that he waits for the market to show him what it's going to do first, and then he'll enter.
So is that on the daily or 1 hour or
Does
4 hours?
most of the trades on the hourly.
Okay, so on the hourly, so
Yeah.
you said he looks for a high. I know
Mostly trades NAS 100, but he said it could work on pretty much all pairs.
okay, does he have a bias or he just looks at what the market is giving?
Yeah, he looks at what the trend is
Mhm.
overall, but I
Mhm.
think he just uses the hourly to find that too.
Okay. So if so let me see if I'm getting you right. So for example, here I can see we're probably, I mean, looks like we're still in a downtrend for US 30. We might be breaking this downtrend on the hourly.
Right.
Yeah, we might be breaking. So you say he would be looking. Could you touch on it again real quick? I want to see something. So you say he would mark up the high?
Yeah, he trades based on swing highs and swing lows. So he used the pivot indicator, but I just used your high low indicator.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Mhm. Yeah,
I also post his video and stuff in here so y'all could get a better grasp of it too.
right. I need to. My hello plus friend isn't working for me. I need to restart my computer. Oh, there it is. Loaded like 1,000. Mm, okay. So for example, here with this, so for example, this period, no, I'm sorry, that's an SAR.
He marks it with horizontal lines, or like a horizontal box where the break is.
Okay, I think I have those in here. Yeah, it's my support and resistance lines. Yeah, so it's this one. So for example, with this high right here, how would he go about it? So for example, this one right here, would he mark the whole candle that created the high?
He said you could use the wick of the candle. He only uses the candles.
Okay. So and then let's say he wanted to take a buy here. How would he take the buy up here?
He wouldn't take it there. That's what I'm saying. So he would wait for he
Mm-hmm.
calls a indication.
Mm-hmm.
Once price goes above that level,
Mm-hmm.
however high, because he says people mess up because you don't know how high price is going to go. So you're taking the buy blindly
Mm-hmm.
and guessing where it might go based on something to the left. But he says if you wait and see exactly where it's going to go first, it makes a new high. It's going to retrace back down. He said whenever price makes a new high or low, it's always going to retrace down.
Mm-hmm.
And once it gets close to your entry, you can kind of see how price action is going,
Mm-hmm.
rejections, what have you, and you take your entry based on that.
Oh, okay. So that's ideally it's I can see that because similar to like my entry strategies, right? Always two candle closures. Because even when we used to trade trend lines and all of that, I always used to say wait for two candles to close
Trace,
above trend
same
line,
waiting for the retracement.
waiting for it. Yeah. So I can, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that doesn't, yeah, because I know we used to trade that way as well too when we used to trade high lows, and also we trade similar, well, not similar, different way, but similar entry. Like even right now for my SARs, it's two candle closures. Because as you said, right, if you just take the break, price may fake you out and come back and take you out. But if price breaks your zone and then you wait for that retracement and then you wait for an indication to that price is going to go back in that direction. Yeah, I'll look at his videos. I also need to look at ICT's mentorship. I think 2022 mentorship I hear is normally good. Um, yeah,
Yeah, he don't have no membership. He says he's just giving out his strategies and everything for free on his page.
yeah, yeah. I watched one of his videos. He's good too. Thanks, man. Any last questions from anybody? Perfect, perfect. Yeah. So you guys just be patient. Watch for gold at 1956 area for buys. Personally, I'm looking for buys on gold. Um, yeah, 1956, 1950. And from there, we have 1932, 1928, 1924. We still have buy zones all the way above 1978. So, and EU, right? This is why, because if I took that trade or if we took this trade, we would be in drawdown. And this should help fight your FOMO because I see, to be honest, I like seeing some of these things happen. Like if I choose to stay out of a trade, I like seeing what I like seeing the red flag playing out because what that makes me do in the future, if I ever feel FOMO, I kind of remember, hey, remember that one time you just hopped on a trade, as much as it was valid, there was a red flag and you took the trade. Like right now, we would be 80% in drawdown if we took this trade. But because, right, there was that structure and I did see EU being pulled down here, choosing to stay out and saving yourself drawdown for the day. So even for me, as much as I'm up 3% for the day, I'm not willing to just take trades just because of taking a trade. So even though a trade does not come to you, remember there's always going to be the next day, the next day, and the next day. So your work is just to maintain your capital and then be prepared for the next setups. But other than that, unless there are any last questions, I will catch you guys tomorrow. All right, see you guys.